Hello, welcome to SquishiVision. A couple of days ago, Disney dropped a whole lot of content. I'm here to pick it up. So this is the last video of my 11-part live streaming marathon I've done tonight, where we're talking about Marvel content, and we're wrapping up by covering all of the stuff which doesn't have a trailer release attached to it. And most of this is kind of brand new announcements that we're going to be dealing with today. So if you want to look at what I thought of Loki, I've done a live reaction to that. If you want to know what I thought of the Falcon and Wasp, I've done a live reaction to that. If you want to know what I thought of the second WandaVision trailer, I've done a live reaction to that. And I've done a live reaction to What If. So we're covering everything else that we've not covered yet in this video. I do tell a bit of a lie. There is a sizzle for Miss Marvel, but most of it is production stuff about why, to summarize, because you can watch it yourself. Essentially, they're like, this is a character who a lot of people connected to, which I agree. I'm excited about Miss Marvel because I was excited by the character in the comics. I've not read any of them because as much as I love comics as a kind of genre and comics as an idea, and as much as I love comic stories, I don't have the time commitment or the money to invest in actual comic books. So I'm not going to pretend I'm that kind of comic book fan. I absorb most of my stuff with secondary material, but I love the idea of Miss Marvel because it's a superhero who's essentially, well, she's American Pakistani and I'm British Pakistani, but we're both Pakistani ethnically, and she's also Muslim, and I love that they've cast a Pakistani Muslim actress in the role, because I am sick to the stomach of seeing people who are South Asian in ethnicity but not Pakistani being cast as Pakistani, or people who are South Asian but aren't Muslim being cast as Muslims. Like the most recent big example I can think of is Yaz in Doctor Who. I still maintain there's nothing concrete that really establishes that she herself is a Muslim. She never says explicitly in any episodes, I'm a Muslim. I want to say she doesn't act like a Muslim. And let me clarify what I mean by that, because obviously Muslims aren't monoliths. We're not, all one type of people. We are unique and individual, and, we all have each of us have a different level of kind of commitment to our faith, let's say. But culturally, there is something about being a Muslim that you can tell. If you're a Muslim, you can, even if you're like someone like me who's I'm trying to word this in a way where it's not going to be misconstrued. I was brought up entirely in England, and so I kind of was brought up in a mixture of a Pakistani culture, an Islamic upbringing, and an English, living in an English society and going to English education, and that kind of lets me build my own unique culture as to how I like to describe it. And I'm ethnically Pakistani, but I don't have any real kind of connection or loyalty towards Pakistan as a culture and as a country. I think there's a lot about Pakistani culture which is problematic and I hate. There's a lot about English culture which is problematic and I hate. And because I was brought up in England, but I'm ethnically Pakistani, I get to pick and choose which parts of those cultures I get to keep and which ones I can throw away. This is me talking about ethnic cultures, and that's different from ethnic cultures, and that's different from religious culture. And this is where my issue lies. Muslims are people like anyone else, but if you write, basically what boils down to, if you get a Muslim character, but you write them like any other English character you have, and the only difference is, and then obviously you can be English and be ethnic, so that's not what I'm talking about. But if you write like any other characters, and you write them telling jokes that how other characters do, then what's the point of being Muslim if it just say that I am Muslim? Like the worst example of this is, I didn't watch it in any kind of detail, but my family watched soaps, so I kind of absorbed it through them. But I understand that there's a family of characters in, I think, EastEnders or another kind of soap, which are meant to be all Muslims, but they don't. They don't have, none of their storylines feel relatable to what I as a Muslim being brought up in England can relate to. It sounds like it's the same problems that all the other characters have. So why bother making them a Muslim? It doesn't make sense. And in both these instances, Doctor Who and EastEnders, all the actors who play these Muslim characters are Muslim. A lot of them are Sikh. And so that says something. It's not a coincidence that you get all these Muslim characters who I can't relate to as a Muslim, and oh wait, they're not actually being played by Muslim actors. Because it makes sense, because obviously if you're a Muslim and you're asked to play a Muslim character, you would presumably draw from your experiences and portray them as a Muslim. But if you're not a Muslim, then you're going to portray them as how a white person thinks a Muslim acts, or how a white person is writing a white character and saying that they're a Muslim. This is my issue with how Muslims are often portrayed. This is like the most positive way Muslims are often portrayed, and it's the same way as other people are portrayed. Obviously, no negative stereotypes are something else. And it's not that you have to be a certain religion to play a religious character. I could probably I'm not gonna talk myself. I'm not tried, but you can be someone who's not a Christian and probably play a Christian character. So you can be someone who's not a Muslim and play a Muslim character. But then if you're not directed or written by someone who understands the Muslim faith, and the Muslim faith is widely misunderstood in modern Western society because it's widely misconceived and misconstrued. So you get people who write those stories and direct those stories and don't do it correct. So I'm glad that the actress playing Miss Marvel is actually a Muslim actress, because that gives me some faith that she will actually portray the character as a Muslim. So I'm not going to watch the trailer together, because most of it is basically about kind of how important the character is representationally and how they were always going to bring her to screen. So we'll just skim to shots. So this is her in the house, and again, like even the set dressing, it's modern and Western, but also cultural. Like I can tell. You can tell if I don't know if you haven't been in an ethnic person's house, you won't know this. But you can if I walk into a house, if you blindfold me, walk me into a house and unblindfold me, I will instantly be able to tell if I'm in a white person's house or a Pakistani person's house. You can tell instantly just from like the small details. And here instantly you can tell this is like a house of someone who is ethnic Pakistani. We see Kamala here in a shop with what seems to be a Captain Marvel costume with a mate. So obviously, from what I understand of Miss Marvel's storyline, she's like a big fan of Captain Marvel, and somehow she manages to get powers very similar, or not so similar to Captain Marvel, and decides to starts to inspire herself after her by becoming like naming herself Miss Marvel. And so obviously, like she kind of grows up as a child in a world where superheroes exist, and looks up to them as I'm not talking to you, River. I'm sorry, my cat's complaining. Looks up to them as real heroes, which you would do if superheroes existed. So we get this shot as well from the series, and this nice shot as well where she kind of flops into bed, clearly after going through sort of like struggles or stress, and looks towards her hero. And these are obviously Marvel shots here as well of her in school. I like how brightly all these shots are as well. It's great. And this is clearly all her drawings as well. Like we've got Captain Marvel here. We've got this character who I think is her dad. Saying her name. Most of these are Captain Marvel actually. And this I think is probably her dad. And you can tell like this house instantly shouts out to me, except maybe the family photos. I don't know, it's not really thingy on Pakistani culture, family photos. At least Pakistani culture, I think widely, at least Pakistani culture, it's very private, so it's not all about putting your personal family life on display. I say as I make video content about my life. That's different, obviously. This is who I portray myself to you on camera. But having things like, family photos on display isn't really what you would do in a Pakistani culture. But I mean, I'm sure there are exceptions, obviously. This isn't me kind of thing. Oh, this ruins the whole thing for me. This aesthetic still looks very much like what I expect. And I love the logo. So yeah, from what I'm seeing, I'm getting good vibes of the series. So obviously that's the first kind of footage we've seen of it. And like the cast is like, there's a lot of people in the cast who are, well actually, so I know I've not actually looked at the cast. So Iman Vellani plays Kamal Khan. Not actually dug into the rest of the cast yet. No one else is a returning. No one else here is really a returning character from the MCU. Crew wise, so we've got Adel El Abi and Bilal Falah directing at least one of the episodes as a duo. Again, don't know much about them, so that's something interesting to look into. Mishak Ali is also the showrunner, so that's great. So we've got people who appear from actual kind of culture actually leading it, which is important for the reasons I've explained. Okay, so that's Miss Marvel. Let's I should have actually probably turned on this. So that's Miss Marvel. So moving on, She-Hulk. So She-Hulk was previously announced. It's been announced since August 23rd, 2019. But what was released yesterday was that it was going to start filming in March next year. And what's also announced is casting. So it was confirmed that Tatiana Maslany was playing Jennifer Walters. It was also confirmed that Mark Ruffalo would reappear in the series, presumably in a cameo role. I doubt he'd be a prominent cast member, but he was reappearing, and presumably motion capture only. It would be interesting to see, because the motion capture for the Hulk looks very, very good. Like, it looks almost photorealistic, and it looks like it is actually Mark Ruffalo, just bigger. Like, it's not something that's usually like recreating an actual actor's face has traditionally been hard until Marvel kind of perfected it. And like the Hulks have like the CGI models for the Hulks have become. I've been impressed, frankly, by how great they've looked. Like, I forget I'm not actually watching Mark Ruffalo's face when he's acting, so that's fantastic. I do wonder how much money goes into making it look so good. And I wonder if the TV budget can extend that far. But then as we have established from the Falcon and the Wasp, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I knew they were going to make that mistake at some point. These TV shows seem to have a film-like budget because it's drawn from the same studio. So maybe it'll look good. And the most interesting thing is Tim Roth is finally back as the Abomination. That's a plot hook left hanging for over 11 years. Yeah, I'm glad we're actually getting more acknowledged. So I'm one of the few people who actually likes Incredible Hulk, it seems. I think it was actually a very well-directed film. But because it didn't do well critically, because Universal still owned distribution rights to the Hulk, and because Edward Norton changed. Edward Norton stopped playing the character who was the lead in that, so it was the only film where the lead got recast for the Avengers. Because of that, it's somewhat the black sheep of the MCU, and it doesn't get referred to as much. Like the Avengers referred to it like, it's established as the same character. Mark Ruffalo mentions Breaking Harlem, and after that we get no references whatsoever to the Incredible Hulk, and then obviously then William Hurt returns as a general, and that's kind of the first kind of acknowledgement that it happened. But even then, like, he makes no references to that event. He makes no references to his connection to Banner. That's one of the things I thought was disappointing. We get them both appearing in the same scene in Endgame, but they don't speak to each other. But I suppose that's not really the point of the scene. And even William Hurt says he feels like he's playing a different character. Like, he doesn't feel like it's the same character, even though it's pretty much meant to be the same character. So, ooh, my hair glitched there. So getting this character back is the first, because unless they do something to do with William Hurt and bring the character back, but don't actually make any references to their previous appearances. But I don't know how you would really do that with this character. So it's great where they're kind of slowly dragging back elements from the Incredible Hulk. I hope this means we get to see Tim Blake Nelson as the leader in perhaps a second season of She-Hulk. I wonder if that's what they're leading towards with this. Maybe he'll appear in this season, and it's a surprise, which would be great as well. So that's exciting me. And it means we might even get what's her name? Liv Tyler back as well. So I think that's kind of neat. We move on to Ironheart. Not much about Ironheart. It was on the slate as possibly a movie. I don't know much about Riri Williams, who is Ironheart. I think she's in the comics like a form of some kind of successor to Iron Man, but I don't know much about her. I don't know where really that comes from or what her relationship is with Tony Stark. But the announcement is that it's now not going to be a movie; it's going to be Disney Plus TV series. It's doing a lot of what kind of Lucasfilm are doing with their properties, realizing that it's actually quite viable to just go straight to Disney Plus and straight to TV rather than film. And so things which they are less sure about possibly are just being thrown to Disney Plus. And then Dominique Vaughn is playing that character. So it's interesting actually. I said thrown to TV as if it's like a kick down, but like I said, the lines being blurred so much, and people are consuming media so much differently now. It's like maybe this is what's going to slowly kill cinema. I don't know. I don't know how long I've been talking so long. Okay, so the next thing is two things actually. It's the Guardians of the Galaxy Holo Special and I Am Groot. I think actually I Am Groot is probably going to stream first. Let's talk about I Am Groot first. I Am Groot it is basically be a series of shorts. My cat is attacking a paper bag. Why are you attacking a paper bag, River? Oh, there's probably a tree in there somewhere. I Am Groot is a series of shorts starring Groot with other characters. Don't know if James Gunn's going to be involved with it. Obviously, James Gunn has been brought back. Has been brought back into the MCU after. Sorry, I've just got to go for my cat because he's attacking them. What are you doing? Okay, he stopped attacking the bag now. No, they knew I was filming him. I don't think you can hear it in the background. So I don't know if James Gunn's going to be involved. If he isn't involved, it'll be the first Guardians of the Galaxy MCU thing made without James Gunn's involvement, because he was involved as an executive producer of Endgame. And then after that, I've not seen them yet. But I imagine he will be involved, even if it's just as an executive producer and just kind of to check everything's kind of kosher with his opinion of Groot. Strangely, we've not confirmed if Van Diesel is returning to voice Groot, but I suspect it is the case. I mean, if he can't, I'm sure they can just take his all of his billions of recordings of saying "I am Groot" and adapt that. It seems like it's gonna be like a series of that kind of like much like Pixar shorts, kind of comedic, not really related to the bigger story, but kind of amusing things. And then there's the holiday special, which is actually going to serve as a TV special. It's going to serve as actually a sequel to Fall of the World, because we'll see some of the Guardians in Fall of the World briefly, and then obviously just as a prequel just for their third outing. And it's going to be written and directed by James Gunn. I believe the plan is to film it whilst they're filming, just as they start filming Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, so they'll film a quick kind of extra few bits as a whole special. It seems to me like this is maybe serves as like an apology to James Gunn for kicking him off the project, but also because it obviously helps bridge a gap, because it's going to be a while now until we get Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 because of that delay that happened kicking off the project. But all the main cast are back, including Karen Gillan. Although apparently, actually, Gunn says he's been discussing with Feige over years, and it's actually a reference to the Star Wars holiday special, which Gunn ironically loved as a kid, and so did I. Maybe unironically, I don't know. So that'll be fun. I mean, if it has lots of references to the Star Wars holiday special, that'll be great. Okay, we'll move on because I'm losing the ability to speak. Blade. I don't know why I included Blade in here, because that since that Blade wasn't announced yesterday. It's been announced for a while, but I've included it anyway. But I think the latest news really to this is that Mahershala Ali has been confirmed to play Blade, and that's all I've really got for this. I've not seen the original Blade. I'm hoping that if they bring Blade back, they can actually try and do a Marvel Knights thing and get Ghost Rider back, because they set up Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Nice to kind of see him again, really. Secret Invasion. So they've been for a while now. They've said that they were going to make a series for Nick Fury with Samuel L. Jackson lead. Samuel L. Jackson must really like the MCU and playing Nick Fury, because he's more than happy to keep reappearing. Like Samuel Jackson's kind of a big thing in Hollywood as an actor. I mean, he's not a lead, but he's relatively a big name for playing like big roles. And now they've got him leading a TV series, and I think it's kind of impressive the pull Marvel has and how much people actually like working on the projects. So he's leading a series. He's going to reappear with Ben Mendelsohn, who's going to play Talos, who I love. I love Mendelssohn's portrayal of Talos. It's fantastic, and I think it's going to continue the kind of plot lines that were set up in the end of Far From Home. Bit disappointed that the Secret Invasion isn't actually the plot of a film. I think a lot of people were expecting it to be, like how when a lot of the Skrulls take over and replace people, and people expecting it to be like the plot of a film, other than the film series, but it seems to be redelegated to a TV project. But I mean, like I said, a lot of these TV projects feel like films anyway, so maybe it'll just work equally as well. Lacking the ability to continue staying awake and speak, so we're going to move on. Armor Wars, nothing much really on this other than it's Don Cheadle, who again is like a relatively big name in film, so the fact they've got him to lead a TV series is quite impressive as well. He's going to be reprising the role as James Rhodes, and I think the premise is basically he's doing missions across the world rather, to reclaim and safeguard the world from outstanding Stark tech, which is a great, isn't the right premise? Okay, so moving away from the TV series, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So it's the film's got a title now, which is Quantumania, and it's confirmed that the third Ant-Man film wouldn't remove the Wasp from the title, so I think it's fair to call it Ant-Man. It's unfair to call it Ant-Man 3, really it's Ant-Man and the Wasp 2. All of the characters from, well, not all, Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, and Michelle Pfeiffer confirmed to reappear. Cassie Lang's reappearing, but they've recast Cassie Lang, which is what surprised me because they cast an older Cassie Lang in Endgame. She seemed like a great actress in the few scenes we saw her, and now they just recast her. I don't know if it's because maybe the actress didn't want to reappear in a full film, but surely they would have cast her with the idea of her being in the next Ant-Man film. Like, they always knew that was the plan. So I wonder what's happened to kind of cause that change in cast there. It seems odd. Like, Marvel doesn't really do that anymore. Recast characters. So I'm very curious to know actually why they've recast Cassie Lang. I did like the actress that they had playing her in the last film. Yeah, and then Jonathan Majors plays Kang the Conqueror. Peyton Reed is directing it again, so he's going to wrap up the trilogy directing it. I wonder if it says on here why Emma Thurman, who played Cassie Lang in Endgame, why she's been... Nope, doesn't say. That's a shame. And the big news is Fantastic Four is coming home. This will be the fourth reboot, because there's a Fantastic Four like way back when. Then there was the one into the 2000s, and then there was one in then there was Fantastic, which we will probably quickly forget about. It's one of the worst superhero films ever. And then there's the MCU one, being directed by John Watts, who's currently still directing Spider-Man. So this is interesting. It's not going to be for a while. But I mean, I have faith that Marvel are going to do Fantastic Four right, because we did Spider-Man right. Spider-Man finally came home. Spider-Man worked. That was great. Although I don't know, because the style of John Watts is very. As I mentioned, and I was also discussed in the Film Stock radio show. One of my co-hosts speculated that John Watts is a very kind of vanilla director, and a lot of what made Spider-Man work was the writing. So I wonder if they use John Watts if as their secret way of kind of directing the film by committee. So really, it's the Marvel higher ups who are choosing the creative shots, and just put John Watts' name on it. Maybe it's a bit unfair to John Watts. But yeah, oh gosh. But again, I think he did a great job directing Far From Home. No news on anything other than it's going to happen and John Watts is directing it, so no news on the cast or anything like that. I think the cast is the most important thing here. But yeah, I think when this finally comes out, people are going to pay attention, because if Marvel do Fantastic Four well, good, and right, then it solidifies Marvel's reputation of making their properties well, and I think it'll prevent their IPs ever being made by anyone else, and they will. And I think if they do this well, the next step is obviously going to be bringing in X-Men and having the MCU X-Men, and because people. Two different people said to me this last week that after Endgame, they're not really fussed about following Marvel as closely as they did before. They might tune in eventually, but they're not going to follow it as stringently as they did previously, which saddens me a bit. And some people are like, well, I wonder when the MCU is actually going to end, because nothing really lasts forever. But I think they just bring up... they still have a lot more fun things to really bring and keep it going. And the problem is that people are like, well, they have to restart at some point, otherwise you're going to have like a 15-year-old series of films, which makes it inaccessible to kind of jump into when you've got to watch all these films beforehand. But then when you bring up things like Fantastic Four, which I like, major Marvel staples, it starts a new kind of entry point into the series. That's my thoughts. I'm going to end on that because I am rapidly aware I'm struggling to form words together. So I have one more live stream to do. Whoops. What have I done here? Cancel. One more live stream to do, which is Pixar. And the only really thing I'm going to talk about with Pixar is the Lightyear film. So I'm going to end this here. We're going to watch Lightyear trailer. And then I'm going to stop speaking for the rest of the night. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a couple of minutes.